for example, when I said I ripped the Band-Aid in 2015, that was a no risk, no champagne moment for sure. Mm-hmm. It was, if you don't do it, you're not going to be able to celebrate it. And I think a lot of people who have business ideas, will say, well, what was the reason that you actually went out and did this? And I couldn't think of anything greater than, if I didn't do it, it would be my biggest regret. So if I didn't risk this, then I would not be able to celebrate all of the good things that we've had. And I really love champagne.
Welcome to Season 3 of the Amani Experience podcast. In this podcast, you will experience wisdom, advice, and stories from creatives all over the world. Your host is the award-winning Amani Roberts, who is a DJ, music producer, professor, author, and undercover gamer. On the show, we love to share the stories of creative professionals, especially people who have gone from the corporate life to the creative life. Once again, welcome to the Amani Experience podcast.
Welcome to episode 103 of the Amani Experience podcast. For this episode, we talk with Erin Diehl. Three of my favorite things about the episode is, first, when Erin told us the story of her pregnancy journey. It's a really crazy and amazing journey, and I just appreciate her being open and vulnerable and talking about it. And in fact, I believe she's going to have her baby any day now. It's been about 6 weeks since we sat down for the interview, or 7 weeks actually. So I think she's going to have her baby any day now. So I will update everyone on the health of the baby when that happens. Second favorite thing I have is Erin is super funny. She's really, really funny. And it was just little things she would say here and there just had me dying for the whole interview. So I really appreciate her sense of humor. And kind of going along with that, my third favorite thing was just the impact that improv continues to have on her career. It's still evident. It had a really big impact on her when she was young. And even in the business that she does now, it still has an impact. And that's really impressive. If you want to reach me, feel free to email me, podcast@amaniexperience.com. You can follow me on all the socials @Amani Experience, and always feel free to donate to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Amani Experience. Thank you very much for listening, and to the show we go. I would like to welcome Erin Diehl to the Amani Experience podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Amani. I am so pumped to be here.
We are pumped as well. We always do a geographical check-in, so tell everyone where we are right now.
We are in Chicago.
Yes.
Illinois, baby. In River North, to be exact.
Okay. And so the Amani Experience podcast goes on the road. We're excited to check off Chicago on our passport. Now, I know you made a couple stops when you were growing up, so tell the listeners where you grew up.
You're so good. First of all, I'm just so impressed by you and your mobile podcast right now, and then all this research. Anyway, I grew up in South Carolina. I was born in a very small town, Greenwood, South Carolina. So don't go searching for it on a map. And then I went to middle school in Georgia. I went to high school in a suburb of Detroit.
Yes.
And then I went to Clemson University for undergrad. Okay. And then I've been in Chicago for about 14 years, which is crazy.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Thank you.
NCAA champs, correct?
And national champions.
Yes.
2019 and 2017.
Yes. Okay, so you're a loyal Tiger there. Out of every place that you've lived in so far, where's been your favorite?
Well, I guess I gotta say Chicago. It's my home. And I was just telling you this before we started recording, but I think I'm half Southern, half Midwestern. That's what I say. I'm a little bit Yankee, a little bit y'all.
Okay.
But full-on nasal twang. So I have like a voice that's half Midwestern, half Southern. So you'll hear it all. But Chicago is definitely home.
Yes, and we can hear your accent, which we love, so don't change.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Once you graduated from Clemson, what did you do then?
So right after school, I moved back to Detroit with my parents for 3 months. And I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Because I was supposed to be a talk show host, just so you know.
You can still be one.
Yes, I still can. Yes, I feel like I've done it in a different way. So long story short, my best friend and I packed up our car. I actually packed it up and then sold it immediately upon moving here. But we had come to Chicago to celebrate her birthday, and we thought, oh my God, Chicago's the best city ever.
It is.
And then
hold
I thought,
on, keep going.
Yeah.
We gotta record.
Oh, yes.
We gotta record.
Duh.
Do that.
Here we are. Okay, we're back. We're back.
So keep going. Your best friend moved.
So my best friend and I packed up our car and we moved to Chicago. I had $180 in my bank account. I kid you not. And I thought, how am I going to become a talk show host? Well, why not go to the city where Oprah lives, my idol?
Yes.
And so what's a way to train, because there's actually no school on becoming a talk show host. There's broadcast journalism, which I went to school for, but I didn't want to do news. I didn't want to do entertainment news. I wanted to talk to people and help people. So I started doing improv classes.
All right.
So literally moved here with $180 in my bank account, sold my car, I walked my little 22-year-old self into the Actors Equity office.
All right.
And got into an off-Broadway show, off-Broadway. It's called the Awesome 80s Prom.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And did that for $50 a night, 3 nights a week. So I made $150. Got a free internship at a casting agency, and then I worked at a bar, like I should with a college degree. So that was my first couple years in Chicago, and I loved every single minute of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to rewind a minute. Why is both Oprah and Ellen DeGeneres your idols?
Oh,
Why?
I love that you know this stuff. So I love them both because they've used their platform as a way to positively impact people. So Ellen obviously takes a little bit more of a humorous approach, and Oprah has that spiritual side, but combine the two of them, and I find the perfect talk show hosts. They're both perfect in their own way, but I really think they've both used their platform for good. They want to help people. They want to make a difference in the world and not just be a talking head. They actually want to see what they're doing impact people's lives, and that's essentially what I was going for. I just didn't know how to get there when I was my 22-year-old self.
But I think you're well on your way, as we're going to learn about later.
You're so good.
Yes. Great answer. Walk us through what different jobs did you have, and then take us up to the moment when you decided to go out on your own full time.
Oh man, this is gonna be good. And talking about you and I were talking about writing a book before we started this. I could write a book about the weird jobs that I've done.
It's time. Let's put it down.
Yes.
Let's get a draft.
Here's the deal. That's what I'll call it. Here, you like
Play
that?
on last
Thank
names.
you.
I like
Thank
it.
You. So I literally left all of those things I just told you to travel in a yellow ambulance across the West Coast for an advertising campaign called Verb. So I was the MC and host of this campaign sponsored by the CDC, Center for Disease Control, that helped kids get physically active. So I was MCing, hosting these shows, but we traveled the West Coast in a yellow ambulance. I kid you not. Then I did, so this was all based out of an agency out of New York who had just different clients. So whatever the client was, I would latch onto the project. I worked with American Eagle Outfitters, remember the clothing store?
Yes.
And we went to every major college rivalry football game in the country, filming traditions at these schools for American Eagle's website and for their stores. I also did some really fun things. Like I was a costume character at the Shed Aquarium, and I had a fan in my little character suit because it was so hot.
Yes.
That was a thing. I also traveled with the I can't make this up, the National Dog Diving Competition. What is that, you're asking? I'll tell you. That's when trained dogs and trainers, there's a pool of water, and they throw a Frisbee into this pool of water, and they measure how far they jump. I was the tour manager for that. So we went to every major state fair in the country.
Okay.
That was fun. And then I just had random temp jobs in between all of that. So many temp jobs. And then, because I refused to work in an office, I was like, I am not going to be conformed to the man, the 9 to 5. I refuse it. And so eventually it was probably mid-20s, 26. I started dating my now husband, but I was sick of being on the road. I was literally on the road for months at a time, paying rent here. And so I got a job in a recruiting firm. And so here's an Oprah moment for you. I kid you not. Oprah was leaving her show and making her own network at the time.
Yes.
And so they were looking for people to have their own show on their own network.
Got it.
So I actually made this video that you put on her site, and the public votes, and you try to get in, like the public would vote you into getting on this, like basically a reality show for having your own show. And so my boss at my recruiting job saw this video, and I knew a couple people at this recruiting firm, and they were like I was asking people to vote consistently. And she said, I had called them and said, hey, I'm actually looking for work. Can you help me, place me in a position? And the boss, my old boss now, but the boss at the time, she called me and she's like, hey, I just watched your Oprah video and the girls here know you. I think that you would be a really great business development professional here.
All right.
So I kid you not, I didn't even interview. I didn't even go in. I just talked to her on the phone, and she hired me from this video.
Okay.
And so thank you, Oprah. But then that was sort of the start of my professional in-house career. And once I had that structure of a 9 to 5, I went right back into improv, and I just started doing classes and shows, rehearsals, teams, independent teams, and everything I was doing was just spilling over into that business development role. And I saw the connection so clearly. And at the time, one of my potential clients was United Airlines at the recruiting firm. Mm-hmm. So my boss, she was such a great person and such a great coach and cheerleader, knew that I had come up with this idea for Improve It. We were out to dinner with United Airlines, and she said, you should tell her about, and she's the head of talent acquisition. She goes, you should tell her about your idea. And so I did. And then they allowed me to pilot, pun intended, some programs to their team, and then they gave me feedback, and then they started hiring me. And then I knew Improve It had a place, and I knew I wanted it to be bigger than just me. And then we launched in 2014.
And here we are. Mid-2019.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself now, based on where you are in your life now, in 30 seconds or less?
Dang. Whoa. All right, got a timer. Okay. Go. I would say in 30 seconds or less, I am more confident, more focused, more goal-oriented, more concerned with being a great leader and coach and mentor, and I think just more experienced.
Good. Well done.
Thank you.
You spoke about being more confident. What have you done to increase your confidence?
Man, I love these questions. So a lot of work, therapy. No, I'm just kidding. Truly. But I think I will say this. I went through last year a program called 10,000 Small Businesses from Goldman Sachs. Okay. And that is a program for business owners who, have a business that's already up and running. I think you have to have 4 employees, but basically it's a free program by Goldman Sachs, and it takes you through this 4-month crazy it's basically an MBA with a strong focus on a business you already have. Mm-hmm. And this sounds so cliche, but I really believe it. I walked in there a business owner, and I did walk out like a CEO. And I know I said the word like a CEO, like, oh my God. But I do feel that the program itself, there were things, I think as entrepreneurs, we have ideas, and we are always coming up with new innovative ways to market ourselves, our product, our service, whatever it is. But what we don't learn is the leadership, and also a lot of the behind. If you don't go to business school, you don't know about P&L reports, right, or balance sheets, or the HR policies. So that program in itself really did, from a business perspective, change my confidence completely, because I did find a cohort of people. So you're in the cohort with 28 other business owners.
Okay.
So there was a lot. I mean, there's just a lot when you have an idea that you have to accomplish, and you got to go out and make sure it works. And there's all these moving parts. But it really was. It taught me how to finesse what I have and how to be thoughtful and mindful and strategic for growing it.
Yeah.
So that was really it.
Well said.
Thank you.
And then kind of the parallel question to that is, based on kind of the environment now, what's important for creative professionals such as yourself or myself to succeed in today's business environment?
Man, you were just a great interviewer.
Thank you. We just getting started
too. Just
I
know. I'm like,
just
my
wait.
wheels are turning. So, and what do we need to succeed in today's environment? I think you've got to be, number one, you've got to be agile. You have to be able to change and know that things are going to suck. There's going to be sucky moments. One of the women I really admire is Marie Forleo, and she just, that book, Everything is Figureoutable. Yes. It speaks to me so much, because I think as a business owner and as a creative, you have to pivot on a dime. I mean, there's every single day, there's going to be new challenges, new problems to solve, and you just got to be able to improvise your way through it and realize that things are going to happen, and that's okay. So I think in order to be successful, we have to just strip away the idea of, you know, here's what every single day looks like. I'm going to map it out. And I try to map it out because I want to have structure, but I know there's going to be a million things within that day that change. So I think just creatives in general are used to kind of going with the flow, but just really embracing that and saying, I've got this and I can figure it out, even if I have 7 walls put in front of me.
Yeah. You spoke about the pilot program with United and then going full-time, so to speak, in 2015. If you're looking now, when would you consider the turning point to your career?
Oh, man. Well, that's a great point. I think 2015 really was, because I got married in 2013, and then 2013, after the wedding, I said, I'm going full force and prove it. And then I spent all of 2014 planning it and launched it in June of 2014. And then I still have my full-time job. Plus I was doing comedy at night as well as building this business. So I basically got married and said bye to my husband, and then thank you. But no, he was wonderful, supportive, and we decided together. I just knew we won this award called the Red Eye Big Idea Awards in 2014, and that was sort of the turning point that I knew Improve It was going to work.
Right. And
then after that, I went about 6 months later part-time at my full-time job.
Got it.
And then August 2015 is when I ripped the Band-Aid. So I think August 2015 was the turning point for me, because at that point, you know, I'm in charge of my salary, and our deal was you got to make back up your salary in order to go full time, and it was just me, party of uno. Yeah. You know, and so that was a little scary, and I think the next turning point would have been when I brought on our full time hire, Allie, in 2017, and I was like, okay, so it's not just my life. If this fails, there's another life. Yeah. Well, on top of my husband. So that was I would think another big turning point. But we're just.
And now you have a team of, is it 4 or 5?
We just hired our 5th person.
Yes, 5th person, plus a ton of other people who kind of partner with you for different programs as well, correct?
Totally. We have 17 contractors in Chicago and 7 in Charlotte.
All right.
So, and those people work with us. Chicago, our leads work with us the most consistently. But yeah, so it's just crazy.
It is crazy, but well done.
Thank you.
4 years is not a long period of time. That's pretty quick, actually. So, yes, good job for being 4 years in.
A lifetime. Thank you.
What does no risk, no champagne mean to you?
Oh my God, I love you. You're pulling it all out. It means everything. And I want champagne, and I'm 32 weeks pregnant. So right now, that means a lot. But I will say, it means if you don't, like, for example, when I said I ripped the Band-Aid in 2015, that was a no risk, no champagne moment, for sure. It was, if you don't do it, you're not going to be able to celebrate it. And I think a lot a lot of people who have business ideas, will say, well, what was the reason that you actually went out and did this? And I couldn't think of anything greater than, if I didn't do it, it would be my biggest regret. So if I didn't risk this, then I would not be able to celebrate all of the good things that we've had. And I really love champagne.
Yes.
So,
we'll get you some, maybe like eight more weeks. So you got 8 more weeks.
Thank you.
Why do you love what you do?
I just truly, I have pinch me moments almost monthly, weekly. And I think it's because the impact of what we do on people is so apparent. To watch a person come into a workshop and then watch them leave is 180 degrees different. We bring people together in a way that they typically wouldn't on a work day, because we're in business to business and we're working with teams of people, some that are close, some that are struggling. And to watch the magic of improvisation change their dynamic in a course of 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours, whatever it is so rewarding. So I do, and I love the people I get to work with. I mean, they say the trait of a great improviser is the trait of a great human, and of a great improviser is the trait of a great human, and I couldn't agree more. And we just have the best team in the whole world, and they're the most compassionate, funny, empathetic
yes.
people. So I feel so lucky that I've created this space to be around that every day.
Speaking of pinch me moments, tell us about the time when your colleague actually got to work with Obama and do that whole project.
God, you're so good. That is for real. That would probably be another huge turning point in my career. So just to back up, this girl, so Jenna is one of my employees, and she's our client experience associate. She came to us as an intern, so she was only supposed to be here 3 months, and she was studying at DePaul at the time. So college internship, and they do a quarter system. So she said, please, I love this internship. Can I stay on just through the end of the year when I graduate? And I was like, yes, but you're signing something that says, this is for college credit, whatever it is, this is your deal, but we're not forcing it. So employer association, people beware. Yes. So long story short, she ended up staying with us for about 7 months, and because she was looking for a job. And she said, hey, I want to work full time. Long story short, she had a potential employer ask for a reference, and I was like, you're not going anywhere. You can't go anywhere. So we made her full-time. We made her part-time, then full-time.
Got it.
So she's our anomaly. She's the only person in our organization who is not an improviser. Actually terrified of public speaking. So when I tell you this story, this is magical. So we worked with the Obama Foundation, which was so lucky, and that was one of the highlights of my career. But we trained 25 peers to help us train 250 citizens of Chicago on our methodologies as a part of this huge training day in Chicago, their first ever training day. And so the citizens had to be 18 to 24. Jenna was 23 or 22 at the time. And I asked our client, hey, would it be okay if Jenna applied to get into this? Absolutely. So Jenna's in the program. Myself and our director of talent are running the facilitation piece. And so after we facilitated our portion, they take us backstage there was about probably 10 or so other facilitators that were working the entire day. And they said, we want to get you guys together for a group photo, and we want to debrief the day. Let's get in the group photo first. So we're sitting in this group photo. They're like, hold on, we're missing somebody. In through the door, he walks. I burst into tears, like Kim Kardashian ugly cry. And then, so now we get to meet him. We get to tell him about our business, which was so cool. I haven't washed my hand in 2 years. It was my right hand that he shook. And so then we now are faced with, we have to go back to these 250 people in the larger group and pretend like we don't know he's there, because they have no clue. We were surprised. They're going to be surprised. And what the day accumulated in was these groups were broken up into smaller groups, and each group was tasked with coming up with a project to create positive change in the city of Chicago. And so each group essentially had the individuals contribute, and then they voted on the individual idea, and that person was going to describe that project to the group. Well, Jenna won from her group.
Right. Congrats, Jenna.
Go, Jenna. Well, what she didn't know was she wasn't just presenting it to all 250 people. She was presenting it to Barack Obama.
All right.
And so first of all, he walks out, everybody loses their minds. Jenna's jumping up and down. And then she starts to realize, oh my gosh, she sees a couple people ahead of her doing this. I'm going to have to do that. And in my back of my mind, I know she's freaking out because she hates public speaking. But I'm also having like that Amy Poehler, cool mom moment from Mean Girls, where I'm like standing there with my phone on video, just watching her, videoing her, thinking, oh my God, this is changing her life. And I kid you not, she held her own with him. He was so charismatic, funny, awesome, all the things that you would think. But she held her own with him for 10 minutes. In an interview in front of all 250 people, and she crushed it. And I just sat there, and I actually had tears like rolling down my face because I knew that this was changing her life. And now she does sales for us, and she's amazing, and she's so confident. And if she ever gets nervous, I always remind her, I'm like, remember that you talked to a former president, and you're fine.
Yes.
So that's a very long-winded story.
That's an excellent story. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for asking. It's a fave.
On the flip side, what is something that scares you?
Woo! Let's see.
We go from the peaks to the valleys, up and down.
Well, on the real current, childbirth.
Keeping it real.
But on a normal basis, what is something that, I'm going to try to tell you that I try to live a pretty fearless life, but I do that. And I will say I will even say this. I can tell you one thing that did scare me was improv, which is shocking to a lot of people. I was terrified of it for a really long time. And I just made myself keep doing it to overcome that fear, because I grew up acting and dancing and singing. And so you were given a script. And so when that's removed, I felt automatically just like naked on stage. But it was almost like exposure therapy. So now, obviously, I overcame that fear.
Yes, you did. Very well. So, yeah.
But I think if I were to say one thing that scares me, I think it's just truly not having the people in my life that my tribe. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That is my husband just went on this trip to Singapore. And maybe it's because I'm pregnant for the first time or whatever. But the thought of losing just the people that I love so much is my biggest fear. Like I truly could cry. I'm like emotional. Think about it. Like I truly think that I've been very intentional with who I placed in my life. And so I feel just so supported on a daily basis and I give that support back. So it's a definite two-way street. But I think that is my biggest fear, is not having those people in my life.
Yeah, real talk.
Yeah,
all right. Real. What is your definition of improvisation?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say it's being fully present in the moment and speaking your truth.
Boom. I love it.
Yeah, done.
Your industry, I don't want to call it, because it's more than just team building, but the team building improvisational space, very crowded. What do you do to rise above all the noise and distinguish yourself from the competition? Yeah.
So definitely with that, we've started to define ourselves as a professional development company who uses improvisational comedy to train on soft skills. So instead of being, we're going to come in and play improv games, we have very strong curriculum. So we have 10 different offerings that are all, even though we're improvisers, super planned, super structured. And then we also, with every single offering, offer an e-learning course in conjunction with to build on that learning. So that was a big differentiator for us. And it's really proven to be successful, because we go in and we'd have these really great conversations and workshops with clients, and then we leave and clients would say, hey, this was a great experience. What can I do now that you're gone?
Yeah.
And so we have 3 weeks of e-learning, 9 modules in conjunction with every 2-hour in-person session.
All right. Now, how has a failure or an apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them. All of them. But I think one thing to note is I definitely failed a lot of auditions that I never made it onto any type of main stage, Second City, IO team. I never made it on anything that... I've never said I was the best improviser. I just said that I love improv, right? And I have a passion for it. And I think for me at the time, I was probably 27, 28 when I was doing a ton of improv. And every audition or every team or something that I didn't make felt like a stab in the heart because I knew I wanted Improve It to exist. And for me, I just realize now that wasn't a part of the plan because that would have just held me back from actually creating what I think is my great purpose, which is this. So I think in those moments, I cried. I thought I sucked. I would get ice cream and wine and just really hash it out with myself. And then be like, I'm so bad. So I think all of those small failures made me sometimes feel like a failure. And I think part of starting Improve It was that I felt like a fraud. Like I thought, I'm not on main stage or ETC or any main show thing here in Chicago, but I've done a ton of shows and a ton of other stuff that people, I created a show that ran for a year and I've done a lot of cool things, but just not I'm not going to be on Saturday Night Live, right? So I thought in my mind back then, it was almost like, well, what's the improv community going to think about me? Am I going to be perceived as somebody who doesn't know what she's talking about? And how am I going to get these people who I want to work for me follow suit? And then I think a lot of passion, grit, and just believing in yourself helped me overcome that.
Yeah. How did you, besides the wine and the ice cream,
Which is so good.
how did you bounce back and flex your resilience muscle? Because many people struggle. So maybe if you have 2 or 3 pieces of advice for people who might be in a similar situation, but they haven't continued on like you have, they're kind of stuck. What kind of advice would you give them?
Such a great question. I think for me, I guess Improve It was just this calling in my heart that I knew I had to do it. And I became alive when I was facilitating or teaching and performing too. I'm not going to put myself down and say that I'm the worst, but I'm not the best. But I think it's knowing, for me, I got really still, and that always helps me. I just would take walks, or I would meditate, or I would figure out. I feel like when I sit, I feel like, okay, I feel talked to versus, and I know there's a difference between meditation and prayer, but I feel when I meditate, I feel things come to me versus me putting things out there. So I felt really getting still helped me decide, okay, Improve It is what you want to do. This is part of you feel this to your core. So it was really just surrounding myself with people who believed in me and who believed in the mission of what we were going to do, and taking anybody. So our director of talent, Christy, was one of the first people I told about this idea, and I went through IO with her back in 2011, and she said, when you do this, call me. I want to be a part of it. So taking the yes people and the people who believe in it and just latching to them and having them latch to your idea. So finding your tribe, I guess, is the words that I would say, and feeling supported, wholeheartedly supported in those moments and of doubt, because when you doubt yourself, they don't doubt you and they can lift you up. And so I think those things, like getting still, surrounding yourself with people who believe in you and your vision, and then just doing it, just not, I kind of just give myself the mantra sometimes, can I say bad
You
words
can
on
say
here?
bad words, yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm like give zero fucks. Like just go, just do it, and just see what happens.
Right,
you know.
right.
And I truly do. I feel like I have lived that way a little bit. Like I'm always. I'm gonna try it, and if it sucks, I'm gonna figure out something else. But if I have this idea and I don't do it, I would regret it. And then at the same time, I've just kind of kept that mantra alive. Like I care, but I only care what people think in my little circle of
Good.
people.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yes.
Brene Brown taught me that. Thank you, Brene.
Very wise. Have you watched her latest Netflix special? Okay, good.
So good.
Well done.
So good.
As you get more success, more awards that you mentioned as well, you acquire more critics or haters, as we call them. How do you handle your critics?
Oh, great question. God, you're so good. Give zero fucks.
That's all we need to say. We can go out there. I love it.
But no, truly, I will say that if there are people who try to, I can spot those people a mile away, and I just know in my heart what the real reason that they're hating on me is, or hating on anybody. There's something there, and there's a reason. I just ask myself why. Why are they acting that way? Why are they putting that out there? And then I mean, we're human. It affects me. It affects people. But I do try to treat people, even if they don't treat me the way that I think I should be treated. I do try to treat them how I think I would want to be treated, so that they at least feel that from me, and they can't say I was hateful back.
Good. All right. Well said. Tell us about the darkest time in your life, how you got through that, and what did you learn from that experience?
God, you're so good. I saw this question on the questions, and I said, I wonder if he's going to ask it.
I'm going to get to it, yes.
Oh, all right. Well, here it is. I was in a dark room. No. So truly, this is very relevant. So I told you I'm pregnant, and long story short, my husband and I have been together 11 years, but we didn't start trying until about 3 years ago. And we thought, okay, because I wanted to get Improve It started, and, the timing's never right, but let's try. So we started trying, and then it was taking a long time. So we went to a doctor. We found out that we share a genetic disorder, and it's JGB2, hearing loss and deafness. So crazy story. And which literally they're like, okay, we're going to do this genetic testing. Erin, it's not a big deal if you test positive, because your partner has to test positive, and there's like a 1 in a million chance. So not only did I marry the man who has it on one chromosome, but he has a variable of the same gene on his other chromosome. So we had a 50% chance of our child being born deaf.
Okay.
So that, on top of infertility issues, we decided to do IVF. So I went through, in the past year and a half, 3 rounds of IVF.
Wow.
The first round, I had 1 embryo, so we batched it, which I don't know if you know any of this stuff, which unfortunately I know way too much about it. And then the second round, we had 7 embryos, which we tested all 7, and all 7 came back with our genetic disorder. So there was 1 that had a variation of John's variable and my mutation. And so that's how my husband lives, and he can hear just fine. So we thought, let's implant this embryo. Well, went on a month of medication. Long story short, came back. Our doctor, 2 days before they were going to implant it, we cannot transfer this. We do not want to be sued if your child is deaf. So it was a big build up and then a big letdown. So then I did a 3rd round of IVF, and this is me being stubborn. And I said, I'm not going to do any testing, and you're going to implant whatever I want. And so we got 2 and implanted 1. It did not work. Long story short, I finally found. So this was 2 years of injections, hormones, surgeries. I mean, 235 shots. I can give you the stats, 35 blood draws and ultrasounds, 3 surgeries, like just so much. And I think as a woman, a lot of people don't talk about it because it's something that we're kind of embarrassed about, or it's just something that is not, people don't speak about it freely because it is personal. And I choose to speak about it because I think it would have been wonderful to know somebody with this mutation going through that process. But there were so many downs and tears and just, you think you have a future and then it's not possible. And then, every down you feel like you're not going to get back up from, and then you do. And then, so anyway, we found a doctor to implant that one that we were supposed to back in November. And so we don't know what will happen when he is born. But we're just waiting to see it. We're excited. And either way, I feel like it's what the universe wants us to do. And it was a really, really long struggle and journey. And, I'm in my mid to late 30s. And like at this point, all my friends are on their 3rd kid or they're done. And if you don't want kids, great. I didn't think I wanted kids until I did. And then I was told I couldn't have them. So then I was, again, being really stubborn and said, I'm going to do this.
Yes, you are.
So that's a very long-winded story to say. I just kept trying. And eventually, I feel like when and I knew in my heart that this kid that is with me now, I knew he was supposed to be ours. I just knew it. Right. So I feel like when you know something, to follow your gut and to do it and to do whatever it takes is really the lesson I learned there.
I agree. I admire your courage.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to read a quote that you said, and I want you to tell us why it resonates with you now. You have said, "Let no one ever come to you without leaving better and happier. Be the living expression of God's kindness. Kindness in your face, kindness in your eyes, kindness in your smile."
Oh, you're so good.
What? Go ahead.
Well, I had that quote on my mirror. Like I wrote it in marker on my mirror in high school. Yes. And I've lived by it. And I'll tell you, I moved a lot. So just growing up, I was always, like I went to high school in a suburb of Detroit, coming from the sticks of Georgia with this southern twangy accent.
They were like, who is this?
Yeah, they were like, talk to me. And I was like, okay. But I've always had to adapt, I think. And I think that quote really speaks to me when I think of just how I want people to feel when they leave my presence.
Yes.
And I think I have a mentor who, the reason why she is my mentor is because I told her, I was like, being with you is exactly how I want people to feel when they walk away from a conversation with me. And she's way better of a conversationalist, and so I got goals right there. But I think that quote is just, you give your full self to people and make them feel important. That's what I think my life's purpose is.
Amen. Do you want to give a shout out to this mentor? Say thank you.
Robin Scott, I love you.
There you go. There you go. Who was the most influential person for you growing up?
Man. I'm going to shout out to my dad right now.
Cool.
Good old Fred. Good old Fred. I'll say this. I go to my mom. I mean, both my parents, awesome parents. Awesome. And my mom and I are super close too. And I go to her for advice now about being a mom. So, and I've always gone to her for just whatever. But my dad has always been very business minded, and he has led teams of people. He now owns a small business in South Carolina. And so I can, just count on one hand the amount of times he did not make time for me because of all of the travel he was doing. I mean, literally my dad would be gone all the time, but he would make me still feel so important. And watching him manage and coach and mentor teams of people, I really learned how to be a fair leader. And just, I think for me, watching him just provide for our family, go and do things that I know, because he would have to travel for weeks at a time, and I know he didn't want to do it when we were young, but I think watching him just bring his full self to work every day and believe in what he was doing, and also give to both him and my mom, just give to their communities, no matter where they are, where we've moved. They've been a part of the church, they've been a part of the theater, they've been a part of X, Y, and Z, and they just get involved and they give themselves and their time and they serve.
All right, so we're talking about your dad.
Dad, yeah.
Okay, good. So shout out to Dad.
Shout out to Dad.
Well, what do you find easy to do that your friends find hard to do?
Oh, man. I just think conversation. Truly, I try to tell myself in situations that may seem uncomfortable, like I've got this, and I try to, and this sounds awful, but I think sometimes in situations where other people may shut down socially or may feel uncomfortable, I try to rise above it to make the people I'm with feel comfortable. So I almost walk into a room and I'm like, you're welcome. Which sounds really bad to say out loud, but that's the mentality that I tell myself, because I feel like that gives me confidence. And I feel like a lot of times socially, a lot of my friends are super social. But I think that it comes easy to them, but I also think for me, if they feel uncomfortable, I try to make them as comfortable as possible by doing something that makes them laugh or makes them just feel at ease. Does that answer that question?
It does, yes.
In the right way?
Yes, there's no right way of answering any question.
You're right.
So you're good. What would you like to be better at?
Oh, God. Singing. No.
That's a good answer. We can take that one.
I really wish in my previous life, I kind of wish I was born a rock star.
Okay. Like rock star like Sheryl Crow, Joan Jett, like who are we thinking?
Oh man, both would be cool. Or like I wish I could just sing. I wish I had that ability. I really do. Because I think it's so cool. And I love bringing people together with music. So and my office is also a very, like sometimes we'll have show tune Fridays.
Okay.
And everybody loves to sing and people can harmonize. And I'm like,
you can be the spoken word part about it.
That's right. I can rap.
All right.
And I can also, I feel like they know my strengths and weaknesses, and that's definitely a weakness. But I feel like, it would be something that would be helpful in life in certain situations, but not always.
We can get you a vocal coach, start you off on, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do if you want.
I would like, actually my mom's a music teacher and she taught voice lessons out of my house.
There you go.
So I didn't get that, Janice.
There's still time. Still time. When you were 21, you were at Clemson still, right?
Yes.
All right, so Clemson is in Clemson, South Carolina, correct?
That's right.
It is. So we're going to go down Clemson, South Carolina, talk to 21-year-old Erin.
Okay.
Give her advice based on what you know now. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, man. I think embrace the failure. And just, instead of seeing things as closed doors, realize that there's another opportunity and another door will open because that one closed.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. What is the one lesson in life that took you the longest to learn?
Oh, man. This is a good one, and you're stumping me. And I did see this on the questions, and I thought, okay, he won't ask that one either.
We got to get to the ball.
Oh, man, he's doing it. All right. I would say... to shut up.
Oh, and tell us why you picked that as a lesson.
I think I feel silence is a void, and I think that I've just my whole life just talked, which again, talk show host. But I've learned to stop talking and really listen. And improv really taught me that.
Good. All right. Do you know they say the beauty of music is in between the notes?
Oh.
Which speaks to that. So yes, a little knowledge there.
Like that.
Every great person has a sentence. What is your sentence? For example, my sentence is I love to help people unlock their creativity by teaching them how to DJ. What is your sentence?
I like the sentence of helping people be comfortable with the uncomfortable by putting them in situations that they thought that they could not do and watching them succeed.
Well done. Well done. What is one new habit that you've added to your daily routine in the past year or so that has been most beneficial?
So my morning routine is now something that I really focus on because I'm a huge believer in if your cup's not full, you can't fill other people's cups. So when I come to work, I want to make sure my cup is full, and then I can give. And that's what I've learned also as being an entrepreneur. So I've made exercise a part of my morning routine, but also meditation. And it's not 30 minutes or 20 minutes. It's about 5 to 10 at the most.
Okay.
And I use guided meditational apps. But I will say it has changed. I can feel days when I don't meditate. I can tell a difference in not only my ability to listen, to focus, but to also just be present. So I will say meditation.
Well done. All right. We're really big readers.
Yes.
On the Amount Experience podcast. So if there is 1, 2, or 3 books you feel people should stop what they're doing right now and read them immediately, which books come to mind?
Oh man, got a good one. So this book helped me create Improve It. It's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Okay.
Are you familiar with it?
I've heard about it, yes.
Oh, it's such a good book. So it's all about, when you have these big hairy ideas or big hairy goals, they seem audacious and crazy. So it's all about taking small steps, compounded over time, that will help you achieve those big goals. And really, that book was the stepping stone and literally step by step for me to create Improve It in the very beginning. I read that book in 2014, and it was or maybe 2013, and it was, they have something called the Weekly Rhythm Register that kind of almost like a scorecard for yourself to keep on track. So for me, that book was super entrepreneurial. It's all for entrepreneurs who have ideas. So if you have an idea, creative idea, and don't know where to go, it's such a great place to start.
Great. We're going to add that book to the show notes.
Yes.
Now we're going to go Clemson Stadium. What's the name of Clemson Stadium?
Death Valley.
So we're going down to Death Valley, and the name of the stadium is?
Oh, Howard. Oh, my God. No, my family's going to kill me.
It's okay. We'll add it in. Don't worry.
Okay. Edit it in. I don't know.
Okay. But we're going to go to Clemson Stadium.
Yes.
Say it's, right before a football game, and they're introducing Erin's Coming to the Field.
Okay.
What song is playing?
Oh, yeah. I love it. My theme song. I don't know who sings it.
Try to.
But remember, I can't sing.
Well, we could try.
Okay.
We'll auto-tune a little bit.
It's called Supergirl.
Okay. Supergirl.
Yes. And I can tell. Oh, yes. I can tell you who sings it right now.
That works.
Because it's a very empowering song. And I will say, it's either that.
Supergirl works. No one's ever mentioned that
Saving Jane. That's who it's by.
Oh, good. Yeah.
2, 3, everybody's after me. 3, 4, let me tell you what's in store. Let's go, everybody on the floor. I'm Supergirl. I'm everywhere. I'm flashing lights. They stop and stare. I'm fire red. I'm on a roll. I'm in your head, and everybody knows I'm Supergirl.
Yeah. I know Saving Jane. Okay.
Yes.
Good choice.
Thank you.
Nice. So before I ask you the final question, I'd like to thank you for making time to speak with us while we were here in Chicago. I love your energy. I love your business. We kind of work in the same space, so it's good to see you doing it. And you're just like, you're dope. You're hooping. I'm glad to know you. Can't wait to keep in touch with you now. So it's been amazing. Great interview. We let our guests leave us with any last minute words of wisdom or advice. So I'll say thank you again and take us home.
Okay, well, I want to say before I give these words of wisdom, thank you so much. And I love your energy and what you're doing. And this podcast is so fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
Can't wait for the cartoon. And
Yes, we'll get that too.
And I love everything you're doing. So this is an honor. So thank you. And words of wisdom, I would say to anybody out there who has self-doubt or feels as if they have something that they want to bring to the world and they are afraid to do it. Go after it, give 0 Fs, and make it happen because you are worth it and you owe it to the world to bring us your brilliance.
Yes, you do. And tell the people how they can find you online and your website, all that.
Yes. So we are at improveitchicago.com. And then you can find us on Instagram at improveitshy, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest at Improve It.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we got some pins dropping.
Good.
And Twitter as well at Improve It Shy. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so fun.
Thank you for listening to the Amani Experience podcast. You can check out the show notes on amaniexperience.com/podcast. Please remember to leave us a review on the platform you are listening on and share this podcast with anyone who you feel would benefit from listening. See you soon for our next episode.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead.
Should I scream? Erin is here.
That's perfect.